Hey folks. Hey folks. Levi here once again. Welcome back to another review. I thought we were going in slow motion there for a second. This is wearing my YouTube shirt, Levi McNally 983. Remember, that's my YouTube channel name. Hope y'all enjoyed my review of Morbius, starring Jared Leto. Yeah, that film sucked. But if you want my thoughts and opinion on it, then it's on my channel right now. Anyway, guys, what I've been doing on my channel, remember, Levi McNally. I don't want to stand up. 983 is my YouTube channel. Thank you guys for 280 subs. We're getting close to 300. Hey guys, I know y'all haven't seen me doing a video in a couple days here. I'm sorry, well, it hasn't been too long, but it's just because of work and being tired. Yeah, you see me going there because I work early in the morning, sometimes 3:45 8 or 3:30 a.m. in the morning, or 4:15 or 4:30 a.m. So I have to go to bed very early. I wake up early. Let me tell you, it's not all that fun. It's not all cracked up as to be. You're just so tired, you know. Especially in a warehouse, you will be tired. Trust me. But anyway, guys, yeah. Again, if you want to know about me doing videos, when you subscribe to my channel, remember with the mass profile page, you can watch videos on my other channel, but don't sub to that channel. Unsub to that channel, if you know, and sub to this one. If you watch that channel and you're watching this one video for the first time, unsub or just let other people know about. Well, you don't have to. They'll figure it out on their Remember, click the little bell. It would notify you when I upload my next video, or probably my community post as well, as when I say I'm going to do the next review, whatever, the next videos coming up on the channel. So just let you guys know, or life updates if I don't do a vlog video explaining things going on in my life. You know, right now I am having some issues. We all do, don't we, in life? But I don't want to get into all that. But anyways, what I've been doing is a superhero marathon. Like I said, just review Morbius. I've been on doing a superhero marathon. I've been doing what I call the 2020s era of superhero reviews. Now these are films that came out in this decade, 2020 to 2025. And I am on the year 2022. I got a couple movies left, so I'd say what is this? About 7 movies after this left, I think. But anyway, this is a Marvel film, another MCU movie, the 28th film in the MCU. Yes, the 28th film. I did see this film in theaters back in May of 2022, and I really enjoyed it. It feels like a horror movie, definitely does. But this is a Doctor Strange movie. Of course, it's a sequel to Doctor Strange that came out in 2016. Like I said, this came out right after Spider-Man: No Way Home. That was December. This came out in May, I believe. Yeah, because remember, with my reviews, I go by years and months. So this came out in May of 2022. I remember seeing it in theaters, having a good time seeing it. Yeah, and it was fun to watch. It was worthy. It's a worthy sequel, in my opinion. Is it perfect? No, there are issues, but I'm talking about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This is the 4K. I can't watch on 4K, but I do have it on Blu-ray. Yeah, and it's also directed by Sam Raimi. Yeah, which y'all should know for directing like Darkman, starring Liam Neeson, and this in the Spider-Man trilogy from 2002, Spider-Man 2 2004, and Spider-Man 3. So yeah, but yeah, let me slip the cover off. I don't have 4K, but I can only watch it from a Blu-ray. This is the 4K disc. If you have 4K, you're a fan of this movie, yeah, and you have a 4K player or whatever, you can watch it on there. But this was a good sequel. This was definitely a worthy sequel. This was definitely a lot better than Eternals and Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings. I thought it was just as good as Spider-Man No Way Home. You know, yeah, it wasn't that long as Eternals. It's 2 hours and 6 minutes, but that because it has it has post-credit scene at the end and including the credits. So yeah, but this was a good sequel. Let's get into it, shall we? Talk about how the movie came to be. Doctor Strange co-writer Stuart Siegel stated in April 2016 that Marvel Studios felt ideas for the film from him and director Scott Dickerson highlighted too much of the weird stuff associated with the comic book. Scott Dickerson, who directed the first film, I believe. Yeah, and he also directed the Black Phone. I believe that's getting a sequel, and he's directing the sequel too. I need to watch that movie. I've seen a little bit of that movie, but I need to give it a rewatch. So he's directed some horror movies too, like just and Sam Raimi. He's directed the Evil Dead films, I believe. So highlighted too much of the weird stuff associated with the comic character Doctor Strange to feature an origin story, but tell the dude to hold on to them for potential future films. Dickinson revealed in October that he had plans for a sequel, expressing his love for the character. and the visual possibilities that come with them. Jacobs said that the first film was the tip of the iceberg. There's so much progress that can be made. He wanted to follow the example of the film Dark Knight and introduce a villain in a sequel that would allow him to go deep and more visual experience. Benedict Cumberbatch had signed in for at least one more Doctor Strange film. Dickerson expressed interest in featuring the villain Nightmare, which I've never heard of, you know, but I'm guessing that's a Doctor Strange villain. And further explored the characters Jonathan Flagrant and Hammer, their small roles in the first film. He explained that he had been kept in the loop on how the Avengers films were using Strange due to his close relationship with Joe Russo, the co-director of the MCU film Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige. Doctor Strange co-writer John Spullitz expressed interest in seeing the character in a sequel, the character named Clea in a sequel. In April 2017, Derrickson was reported to be returning for a sequel being work after fulfilling his comments to the television series Lock and Key. By December 2018, though, Derrickson had quietly finalized a deal to direct the sequel with Cumberbatch, Bendel, and Richard McAdams responding to the roles, and Rich McAdams just come back as Christine Palmer. Marvel was beginning to search for a writer, with the Hollywood Reporter stated that the script would be written throughout 2019 for a planned filming start in early 2020 and potential release in May 2021. Feige and Davidson officially announced that the sequel to San Diego Comic Con, July 2019, revealing that the title to Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness confirmed release date of May 7, 2021. Dickerson wanted the sequel to be the first scary MCU film. That's what I like about this movie. They try something different. Yeah, Spider-Man: No Way Home does go to the multiverse, and it does have a bit of nostalgia there, which is I thought used right. But with here, I'm glad they went with horror with it. Unlike Eternals, or Shang-Chi Legends of Ten Rings, Shang-Chi is not trying to appeal to the Asian culture, and it failed at that miserably. And Eternals is just trying to be another Avengers movie. This is trying to be like a horror film, almost. That's different for the MCU, and explore more of the gothic and horror elements from the comic books than the first installment did. Which is what I like about this sequel. It's doing something different. You're not trying to pander to anybody. Well, they do a little bit here, but I'll get to that soon. With one of my issues with the movie. But anyway, with co-producer Richie Palmer explained that the film would use the multiverse to explore each of the world of madness, which we knew about the multiverse and Marvel, starting with Spider-Man: No Way Home, the last MCU movie, and that idea that the scariest monsters are the ones that dwell within us. Feige stated that Disney Plus series WandaVision, which I haven't watched yet, would really set up the film with Elizabeth Olsen reprising her role as one of Max and becoming the villainous Scarlet Witch in the movie from the series. Additionally, the concept of the multiverse was introduced in the MCU in the first season of Loki and explored further in the film Spider-Man: No Way Home, which is set before Multiverse of Madness, and sees Cumberbatch respiring his role as Strange. After Loki's first season final was released, Tom Hiddleston was reported to be respiring the role as Loki, which, if they do Doctor Strange 3, that'd be cool if he did come back. But that didn't happen. Jade Holly Barrett, an upcoming screenwriter, was hired to write the sequel screenplay in October 2019. Barrett said she had developed the films alongside Davison, Feige, and other Marvel Studios executives and Palmer for around a year. She felt it was a run exciting, called the creative team stars the comic books. She provided with the binder of every Doctor Strange comic book printed for reference to her ad and her writing. In December, though, Feige described the multiverse as the next step in the evolution of the MCU. The film would crack it wide open in a way that would have repercussions for Disney Plus series and the next films of Marvel Studios' Phase 4 slate. Later in the month, it clarified that the sequel would not be a horror film, as some reports have described it, but it does have horror elements to it. But it would be a big MCU with scary sequences. Fish compared it to like Raiders, Indiana Temple of Doom, Gremlins, and Poltergeist. Davidson was good at being legitimately scary due to his background making horror films. Fish also wrote that the film would introduce several surprising new characters to the MCU, including one that Marvel Studios had been never looking for away. There was later to be American Chavez, who was included because her powers related to the multiverse. Chavez's co-creator Joe Casey was not paid for the character's appearance in the film after he rejected a offer from Marvel Comics that he described as petness pre-production. In June 2020, Marvel Studios Injection announced that he would no longer direct the film due to creative differences. So I think Davidson wanted to make it more horror related, more horror movie, but the studio didn't want to add it, which I can get it because parents do take their kids to go see these movies. So the Black Phone 2, I'm sure will be very scary movies, but I can see why he wanted to make it a horror movie. I mean, at least I'll give Dickerson this. He's got balls to make a horror movie. That would be cool to actually have a MCU that's full straight on freaking horror and rated R. That'd be cool. I think they could pull it out, but if they made Doctor Strange 3, make it horror more related. Bring Dickerson back. I'd like to see it. But parents, yeah, parents would be complaining about it, of course. But I guess my guess, I wasn't there between Dickerson and the studios, but I'm guessing he wanted to make the film more of a horror movie, a straight up horror film, and they said no, we don't want that. So I guess he's like, okay, I'm gone, which I can respect him for that. He's got guts. In separate statements, they said they were thankful for the collaboration that was so far. Dickerson remained an executive producer on the film, though. This was not expected to delay filming, which was set for May 2020. They explained sorry, that he and Dickerson, they viewed a story that went in a different direction from what Marvel wanted, and the pair had not yet written a draft of the screenplay, so the final film would not be diverted from the work. Dickerson said leaving the film was a difficult decision, but he did not want to promise a film that was different from what he wanted to make. His choice to leave was made easier by the fact that he was able to merely begin working on the Black Phone, another film he wanted to make. Cumberbatch was not, starring Ethan Hawke, by the way. Cumberbatch was not consulted regarding the director change and said he was sad to hear about it, but he respected the decision and how it was handled. Some reports suggest that Dickerson left the film because he wanted to make a no holds bare will generally scary movie. I think I was right on that. Similar to A24's The Witch or Heredity from 2018. And Marvel Studios said that they not want to go in that direction, but Feige denied this and said the studio loved that idea. I don't know which is true. I wasn't there. So it explained that they were intended for the film to serve as a guide to a much creepier side of the MCU, even after Dixon's departure. They wanted to explore the mind-bending, frightening side of the multiverse. Sam Raimi entered negotiations to take over as director, I guess because he did have experience with Marvel, and again he directed Darkman, and even his Spider-Man movies did have some horror elements in it. If you remember Spider-Man 2, when Doc Ock's claws come to life and start attacking the doctors, that's like kind of a scene right out of a horror movie. So yeah, they picked Raimi, knowing his experience with directing Darkman and the Spider-Man films. They probably figured he'd be a good choice. At the time, though, Gillette, sure I can't say his name right, but he comes back as Mordo. Meg Adams was expected, no one was expected to appear, but she did. Was hired to Michael Waldron was hired to rewrite the script, serve as the head writer of Loki's first season. Raimi signed on to direct the film a few weeks later. He had been reluctant to direct another Marvel superhero movie after the mixed reception to Spider-Man 3, which Spider-Man 3 does suck. I don't fully blame him on that. Well, some of it I can. Yes, because some of his ideas were in that movie. But at least he admitted that movie was crap. And yeah, I agree with Raimi. It did suck. But he felt that he needed a break from that genre. But he accepted the job because of the challenge of getting the film into production, and because he was a fan of the Doctor Strange character, and Doctor's worked on the first film. So Raimi chose to do it, which was awesome. It is awesome. I'm sure that was part of the movie's success is that him making this movie. For those that have nostalgia for his Spider-Man movies, and I have nostalgia for him. I was very shocked when I heard that he was going to direct this movie too. I was like in disbelief, like, oh, awesome! Sam Raimi's going to direct this movie. But he said the job because of the challenge. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I wrote that. He was curious how making his big budgeted films had changed since his prior film, Oz the Great and Powerful, starring James Franco, which is a prequel to Wizard of Oz from 1939. And he also had to familiarize himself with the existing MCU storylines and characters for the film. Wilden had 3 weeks to write a new script, drift based on the work done by Dickerson. He said this was almost impossible, and Raimi felt very rushed and panicked, trying to meet the May 21 start date. But the COVID-19 pandemic, in fact, that yeah, this was a time when COVID hit, so they could not release the film. Then they probably going for that May 21 release, but COVID-19 happened, and yeah, the movie was delayed. I'm sure for a good while. Film was tested still back to track to begin in May 2020. So Disney shifted much of their phase 4 slated films due to the pandemic. And of course, theaters were shut down. Raimi was relieved by this delay, which allowed him and Roland to start writing the script from scratch at a reasonable time and make their film their own. Roland had written a script before the COVID-19 pandemic. Raimi and Wilden's version was different than the one she developed with Dickerson. Wilden watched the director's Spider-Man films, so he could identify Raimi's strengths and write toward them. He described Multiverse of Madness as a Raimi's return to big superhero movies. Instead, would they have expect the aspect of Sam Raimi film, including a slightly scarier direction, which he felt Raimi had a strong record with. Palmer said Walden's work, including the Multiverse and Loki, allowed Marvel Studios to jump into telling a good story without having to re-explain those ideas without us and help bring a lot of heart to the science fiction of it. This experience from Walden also had experience from writing the series Make Rick and Morty, which helped him introduce these big sci-fi concepts. Rather than just expanding the stacks of the film, Walden saw the multiverse and with its emotional heart of the story that he used in the personal ways, such as using what ifs and turn versions of characters reflecting the film's protagonists. Some of the characters right or wrong choices the alternative versions. Walden watched Doctor Strange several times, saying he became a student of the film due to understand Strange's story in the original. He looked at how the character had developed through the other MCU appearances. Raimi praised how Walden's imagination and knowledge of the Marvel history contributed to the script. Walden described Wanda as the biggest, best bullet they had. She was destined to become a villain in the MCU, as she did in the comics, especially after the end of WandaVision revealed to her that the family she built is not real. Then she gets the Darkhold and learns that there is a real version of her children out there. If you got a book of the Dam whispering on your ear long enough, your kids are out there, and you could get them. Maybe you can push to do some terrible things. She became a villain at the end of the film. She knew, he knew another project would get to have the fun of using her as a villain. He also wanted to avoid the film getting overstuffed by adding a different multiverse-related villain, such as Jonathan Majors' Kang the Conqueror, and felt that this would create a watered-down version of Wanda. But we didn't get Kang the Conqueror until the next year, 2023, in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Ant-Man 3, basically. Okay. Sorry. Olsen was hesitant about playing the villain after believing that she was just a simple thing, but she came to feel that Foundation WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness allowed her to create a sympathetic character, and so the audience would therefore have conflicted feelings about when seeing the film. Walden worked closely with Olsen and WandaVision head writer Jack Schaefer to ensure Wanda's story was satisfying. While Raimi also studied the series, despite not fully seeing it, practically key moments directly impacted their plans for the film to make sure the film maintained a proper through line and character growth dynamic for a character. It was important that Olsen that the film not repeat what was done in WandaVision and instead be an evolution of the character, and she requested several adjustments to the script. One moment that she found too similar to the series to justify the many killings that Wanda commits in the film. Also, focus on the characters' perspective of those people being her way and not listening to her after the loss of her children in the series. After Planned Parents for Cumberbatch and WandaVision was removed late in the development of the series, rewrites of the Multiverse of Madness was required, which Beach described as a wonderful combination. The story of Multiverse Madness is still set up by WandaVision, but the film was developed also worked for viewers. Constantly of the Dark Horse appearance in the film's props department. The prop was used for WandaVision and reused for the film. By writing his first script, Walden felt the film needed to get drunk and find the madness in the multiverse by introducing alternative versions known as Marvel characters. This led to the introduction of the Illuminati, as you excited from the comics, had been watching Walden had been watching the film Aliens, especially for the script's thriller tone and enjoying how the badass space marines just get slaughtered by the child aliens. There will be spoilers in this review, by the way. The idea of Strange taking control of a dead body for the end of the film came from Walden and Palmer. How he'd be able to confront one from a different universe. Of course, of another version of Strange having been already established on the start of the film. Raimi intentionally wanted to avoid a zombie sequence, not to repeat what he had done with previous with zombie films. The film's release was shifted again at the end of April 2020, this time to March 25th. Rescheduled No Way Home to 2021, because Benedict Cumberbatch was working on that. It did get delayed a couple times, but it did finally come out until May 2022. Yeah. But, yeah, Cumberbatch revealed that the month that would be filming would start in London by the beginning of November. But the film got delayed in November as well in December due to increased COVID-19 cases. Filming began in London in November 2020 under the working title Stellar Vortex. Filming was delayed from an intentional May 2020 in date due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Olsen began filming her scenes by November, shooting back to back with WandaVision. I found an odd transfer from the series back to starring in the MCU films. At the beginning of December, filming was taking place at Longcross Studios in Longcross, Surrey, or several New York City blocks, instead for the Sanctum, built by production designer Charlie Woods. McAdams soon signed on to return as Palmer. Shortly before Beecher basically confirmed her involvement in the film, along with Icho Wong and Gomez. He also revealed that Gomez would portray America Chavez. Cumberbatch began filming his scenes by then, completing his work on No Way Home, being in that Spider-Man movie. He said the film was more collaborative than his previous MCU appearances, for which he felt like he was just along for the ride. Many of the actors, including Olsen and Cumberbatch, were excited to be working with Raimi. The writer said many demologed visuals were used during shooting to tell the film story. Walden explained that they felt ending was too happy following the bad shit that occurred in the film. One showed that Strange would suffer consequences for his action, including possessing the course of a different version of himself, which tied into Morta's warning for the first film. That bill comes due. Austin shot for 3 weeks before pandemic restrictions near the end of December due to surge of COVID-19 cases in the UK, London. The scenes of Scarlet with the Emily were shot at the British Museum of London. Post-production, Bob Mollusk and Tia Nolan co-created the film. Some some additional photography have been completed by midnight September 2021, although someone complained of their work. The film was once again delayed in October, this time to May 6th, which it did come out by then. Yeah. Cumberbatch confirmed the reshoots were being used to make adjustments to already shot material, while also filming that was just impossible to do so. Similar to No Way Home in the first season of Logan, the film's teaser trailer was released in Slate, and they did show the teaser trailer for this movie. If you saw Spider-Man No Way Home in theaters, they did bring it back. And the film did get some reshoots. Raimi had some of the cut of the film that would be presented to test audience, but it was potential for more reshoots to happen, and the test screens found that the improved Cumberbatch was working further on reshoots. You do have, well, for instance, a spoiler alert, like spoilers, Patrick Stewart does respire his role as Charles Professor Xavier from the X-Men films. Patrick Stewart, who portrayed Charles Xavier in the X-Men films, was rumored to be appearing in the film and then close to the role. You kind of see him in the trailer, so it's not much of a spoiler. And you hear his voice too, so you'll know. Stewart was believed to respond to the role of Xavier, which of course he was. And you have Peggy Carter coming back, yes, from the What If scene. Stewart plays a new version of Xavier that combines elements from his previous performances, playing a line dialogue from the film X-Men Days of Future Past, with elements from the X-Men animated series. John Krasinski plays Fantastic Four Reed Richards, which I really want him to. I really wish Marvel would have had him play Reed Richards in Fantastic Four First Steps. Yeah, yeah. But the actress named Lynch, I said the name right. She who played Captain Marvel did play an alternate version of Captain Marvel. Haley Atwell didn't like how her character felt, so surrendered to mind. Her death being played by a joke. So she approached the filmmaker with feedback, which approached the scene. Didn't sit, her adjustments did not sit well to comment before eventually confronting the Jolie, telling her he was bullying her. Well, you know what? You suck anyway, Peggy Carter. You suck. I don't like you as an actress anyway. I'm glad they killed you off. Hmm. Even Obadiah Stane Ironmonger who was portrayed in the first movie was also considered for the group's lineup, but that didn't happen. Therefore, rumors that Tom Cruise will be playing Tony Stark Iron Man, a superior Iron Man in the film. Ryan Reynolds to include him, that would have been cool. But I guess, like I said, they couldn't really overstuff the movie. For the music is well, in the first movie it's Michael Chingo, but in this movie, Raimi took over. Danny Elfman came to compose. Apparently, I guess that him and he did work with Raimi on that in Dark Man, 1990, A Simple Plan, not a superhero movie but a crime thriller film. Spider-Man 2, which of course he did the music score for that. I heard that him and Raimi had a falling out, and Christopher Young composed the music for Spider-Man 3. So, because from what I heard, they had like a bad falling out, but I guess they over the years maybe started getting along again, and he offered him the part. Offered him to do the musical for the movie. But no, it wasn't before that. It was no. I'm sorry. Before that, it was 2013. Oz the Great and Powerful. So I guess they got along by then. In 2021, though, Danny Elfman began working on the music to be used during filming, but would not begin works on the actual score for several months. Elfman said he was completed the work on the score, and he also did the score for Avengers: Age of Ultron. So Anyway, for the marketing of the movie, I do remember the teaser trailer stuff being really good. Yeah, there was like the Super Bowl commercial. I think I remember that. Not big into football, but I do love when they play Super Bowl for movies. The film did partner with G Fuel and Xbox for the marketing. Funko Pop's based on the film. Let's see. It had the commercial to do with laundry detergent like Tide X or whatever, Tide, where, Benedict Wong, he's in the commercial fighting with Doctor Strange's cape, cloak, whatever. That was a pretty funny commercial. But yeah, I do remember the trailer and stuff of this movie being out. Yeah. And being really excited for the movie. Especially after Spider-Man No Way Home. It was just great to see Doctor Strange come back in a sequel. So thought it was the right move for the next movie as well. The film did get positive reviews from critics. It was the fourth highest grossing film of 2022. For the cast of the movie, though, yeah, the 2019 San Diego Comic Con, Cumberbatch and Olsen announced the film. Benedict Cumberbatch comes back as Dr. Stephen Strange, a neurosurgeon who became the master of the mystic arts flying car accident. Benedict Cumberbatch, of course, he was in Doctor Strange 2016. He was in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. And he played, in Star Trek Darkness, he played Khan. He's real good in that. Elizabeth Olsen is Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, a former Avenger gone rogue who can harness chaos magic and raise telepathy and telekinesis in an alternate reality. But Elizabeth Olsen, she's been doing these movies since Avengers Age of Ultron, 2015, and of course Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Infinity War, Endgame, the WandaVision show, and of course this movie. Can't think if I've seen her in any other movie. I say she's doing some movies in a movie in 2024 called Eternity, but I think she's done playing her character. But she's been with Marvel since 2015. That was like Avengers of Ultron was like 10 years ago almost. So. And Shabbat Achu, I can't say his name right, comes back as Mordu, the Sorcerer Supreme of the Earth 838, and a member of the Illuminati. Let's see. This actor, of course, was in the first film as well. He was in Four Brothers, Endgame from 2009, different movie. Venom, The Last Dance. Yeah, this was definitely better than that movie. I hated Venom Last Dance. And he also voiced Scar in The Lion King remake. I mean, it's 2019 remake. Yeah, it was Jeremy Irons in the original who voiced Scar. Benedict Wong is Wong, the Sorcerer Supreme for 66, and Strange's mentor and friend. Benedict Wong's been doing these movies since the first Doctor Strange, and he was in Infinity War Endgame, and did have a couple parts. He was in like 15 or like only what 2 or 3 scenes of Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, and uh, had a cameo in Spider-Man: No Way Home. Very much a short part. But of course, and you see him in this movie. He was in Kick-Ass 2. Okay. Not in the first one, but he was in the second one. Johnny English Reborn. Yeah. And it says he'll be coming back as Wong in Avengers Doomsday. And Zoe Gomez, American Chavez, a teenager who can travel between dimensions by punching open doorways. She's an American actress. She began acting at age 5. I've never seen anything. She's very cute though. Oh, Michael Stuhlbarg as Nicodemus West, a surgeon and former colleague of Strange. Let's see, this guy looks familiar. He was in Hitchcock, Steve Jobs. Oh, he was in Men in Black 3. Okay, I think I remember him in that. Yeah. Rachel McAdams, Christine Palmer, an emergency surgeon who was colleague and lover of Strange. Rachel McAdams, my first introduction to her was Mean Girls. I did see that film in theaters in 2004 with my family. Always been a fan of this actress. Always loved her. I liked her in Sherlock Holmes and Sherlock Holmes: Game of Shadows. Spotlight, she was good in that. Red Eye is a real good movie where she worked with Wes Craven, the late Wes Craven, excuse me. Yeah, and the hot chick, she was great in that. She is a hot chick, still is. And Southpaw with Jake Gyllenhaal, of course, for the MCU, played Mysterio. Yeah, but I've always been a fan of her as an actress. Patrick Stewart does come back as Xavier. Haley Atwell does come back as Peggy Carter. Linda Lynch as Maria Rambeau. Captain Marvel, she was, of course, the character. She was in No Time to Die, which I didn't give her than that, but I liked in Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. And let's see, the film was directed by once again, directed by Sam Raimi, who at the time did want to make the movie The Shadow, but that didn't happen. So he made his own superhero movie that was Darkman. But you also know him for like horror movies like The Evil Dead 1 and 2. Darkman, he directed. But Liam Neeson, love that movie. Probably still my favorite superhero movie that he's directed. Spider-Man 2002, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3. And this movie, Doctor Strange, and a little bit, yeah. Says he's going to direct a new movie called Send Help, which is a survival horror movie. He's going to star in that. Let's see. Oh, Rachel McAdams. Okay, curious about that, and I like the title. Send Help. Okay, I'm curious. Yeah. Written by Michael Waldron. Waldron. It says that he also wrote the script of the Loki TV series. Let's see other movies. Rick and Morty, Chad Powers, Avengers Doomsday. He'll be writing the script for that as well, based on Marvel Comics. Based by Kevin Feige, who was the president of Marvel, like president of the company, or whatever. He's been working on these movies since the first Iron Man film in 2008. Cinematography is by John Matheson. He's in cinematography for Gladiator, the first one, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Russell Crowe, August Rush, Robin Hood. I wonder if that was the one by Russell Crowe. Yeah. X-Men First Class, another superhero from Logan. Yeah. Some of the X-Men movies. Edited by Bob Muskul. I can't say the name right. I butchered that completely. He's worked on assistant editor on films like Darkman, Army of Darkness, which is Evil Dead 3, Hard Target. Even though I think Raimi did work on some of those movies, from what I heard, but it was mostly John Woo directed that movie. Hard Target, From Dusk Till Dawn, 2, takes a lot of money, but it's a direct sequel though. The Gift, Spider-Man 2 and 3, Drag Me to Hell, The Resident, Oz the Great and Powerful, Dracula Untold, T. Nolan, A Gentleman's Game, Bewitched, The Woman, Feel Pretty, Anyone But You. Music's by Danny Elfman. Who's, of course, his first big superhero budget movie that he did was Batman '89 and Batman Returns. He's worked with Tim Burton occasionally, like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, like I said, Batman Returns, Edward Scissorhands, Mars Attacks, Sleepy Hollow, Big Fish, Alice in Wonderland, and of course, Raimi's two Spider-Man movies, just the first two, Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, but not 3. Good Will Hunting, other superhero movies, let's see. Go Back to School, Ronnie Dangerfield, yeah. He also did the music score, well, before Darkman, Dick Tracy, that's a comic book film, and Nightmare Before Christmas. He also did the singing voice for Jack Skeleton. Men in Black, Flubber, The Family Man, Planet of the Apes, the remake, Spy Kids, okay, yeah. And Hope 2003, which is another Marvel movie, of course, starring Eric Bana. Let's see. And Avengers: Age of Ultron, like I said. Any other coming up superhero movies? Nope. Send Help. He's gonna, yeah. We're gonna be working with Sam Raimi again in that, and Beetlejuice. So yeah, Doctor Strange. I guess that was the last super. Unless Sam Raimi directs another one day. Production company is Marvel Studios, distributed by Walt Disney Studios, Motion Pictures. It was released May 6, 2022. It's 126 minutes long, about 2 hours and 6 minutes long, if you include the post-credit scene. The budget was estimated to be around either $414 million. Well, the net 350. I don't know which one. $350.6 million. Well, estimated, I guess. But the film did make $955.8 million worldwide. It did make money, so it was a success. It was a hit at the box office. Yeah. Didn't make as much money. Well, money as big as Spider-Man No Way Home, but it still made money. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the plot synopsis when I'm in 34 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the plot synopsis about the movie. So if you've never seen this movie, well, hold on. You don't have to turn the video off yet. I'm just gonna talk about what the story is about. So this film does open up, other multiverses. It good job. This movie explores that a bit, and it also just felt like a horror movie. I do like that they made Scarlet Witch, HD Scarlet Witch here. They made her into a villainess, which is really cool. I thought. But for the film story, is that this time around, Doctor Stephen Strange. This takes place events after Avengers Endgame, where he's still, the master of mystic arts. He's still in the Sanctum. You know, the love of his life, Rachel McAdams. Christine Palmer's getting married. Yeah. And around this time, he teams up with a mysterious teenage girl named, if you can see her here, in a blue jacket, American Chavez, who, with the powers, she can open by punching things or by punching or getting mad. She can use her powers to open a doorway to other multiverses. Sorry, she can travel across multiverses to battle multiple threats, including other universe versions of himself, which threatens to wipe out millions across the multiverse. But Chavez has somebody after her that is aka Wanda, who becomes the Scarlet Witch. She's after her. I'll say spoilers later in the review, but she's after her. So Doctor Strange, along with the help of Wong, the Supreme, they have to take on Wanda in a fight. They have to defeat her because if she gets on American Chavez, she can use Scarlet Witch can use her power and she can destroy the multiverse. She has this book called The Dark Hold, which is like witchcraft. It is witchcraft, sorry. And she can use it to destroy universes, kill billions or millions of people. But she has a good reason though for doing it. But still, it's insane what she's doing. So of course, before they destroy anything, along with Doctor Strange meets the Illuminati group, who is another team of superhero movies that think he's a threat to the universe. So he's got to deal with that, and along with trying to save American Chavez and trying to stop and take on one division and stop her from destroying multi-universe and killing billions of lives. So he is to stop her, and it does, like I said, the film does have the horror. It feels like a horror movie. It's not a straight up horror movie, but it does have the horror elements to it. You can tell while you watch the film. But yeah, that's the plot synopsis for now. I'm going to talk about the movie stuff. So if you've never seen Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, or even Spider-Man: No Way Home, I haven't seen WandaVision, but there's also another great threat that looks like Doctor Strange, and this isn't no spoiler. You've seen the trailer for the movie, and he's got one eye, top of his head right here. That's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. But anyway, guys, so if you've never seen Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, do not watch this review. Do yourself a favor, turn the video off right now. If you got Disney Plus, watch it on Disney Plus. And the first one too. Also check out my review of the first film if you want to. My review is a review. You can also check out my original review of it if you want to. Or I wear a jacket as a cape. But I don't want to spoil the movie for you. I just recommend that you go check it out for yourself. You know. But if you have seen it, alright, so let's get into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness review. Since I don't have a lot of time here, but I do have time. Anyway, the film opens up with another universe, which I do give credit to this movie. It does have some beautiful visual effects in it. And the Gap Junction, you have a plane between. It's a plane between universes. You have American Chavez and Doctor Strange in another universe from another universe. They're racing into this book of estimates. They're attempting to evade this creature that is chasing them down. And this Doctor Strange, she's like her best friend. She's trying to help her. They're running through this plane of universes, trying to escape this monster. This monster nearly attacks them. It nearly cuts off Strange's leg, but Strange fights back. And Strange realizes that he has to sacrifice her. He tries to kill Megan Chavez because if this creature, who's after her, trying to kidnap, not trying to kill her, let's just suppose he's trying to kidnap her. If but there's somebody after her, and they get their hands on her, so Strange tries to kill him, but the creature kills him. It almost grabs American Shepherd, but she can't control her powers of opening doorways to other universes. I mean, but when she freaks out, she gets mad or freaked out or scared. Her power takes off. But it gives this Strange enough time to attack the monster and defeat the creature. They go into the universe, which is the Doctor Strange we know, and then we see Doctor Strange wake up. He's got the watch. Found out that he got that watch when he was on the date with Christine Palmer. Yeah, and he's also getting ready to go to her wedding. Yeah. He opens a portal to Earth 616, where this day Doctor Strange of course follows. Strange has a vision of it. He wakes up. He tends to Christine's Palmer. He talks to this man like this at the guy from Man in Black 3. Um, how you doing, Strange? Thank you for asking. Talking about why you were in here. Well, I booked for 5 years. They just have a little conversation. Then you see Christine Palmer in her dress, and she goes to Steven like, "Thank you for coming, Steven. I appreciate it." Like, well, Steven, you always gotta be the one holding the knife. We couldn't be together. Yeah, and plus he was gone for 5 years, so you can guess she met this guy, fell in love, and yeah, they got married. And he's like, "But Steven, are you happy?" She's like, "Yes, I'm happy. I'm happy for you." But deep down, he's not really happy because he wanted to really be with her. She's the love of his life. He loves her, but he couldn't be with her because of also his responsibilities of being Doctor Strange, pretty much. And he says, "Well, my husband would love to meet you. He's a big fan." Before that can happen, then this entity, which is, you find out is a giant octopus, comes to attack Strange. Sees it as it grabs a bus. He's able to use his magic to see it fights this creature. It almost kills these people, but he like cuts off one of the tentacles using his magic. And the creature, American Shepherd runs out, is like, "Kid, who are you?" And then he gets distracted. It knocks him out. And then Wong shows up with a sword to fight it. And Doctor Doctor Strange's cape, because Strange trying to protect it, but Strange is passed out. He's passed out in this coffee shop. He's just passed out. His cape. Paul tries to slap him up, but the cape, which is really cool because the cape has a mind of its own. It's kind of like his own living creature. A live thing. It grabs American Chavez, flies her up to a roof, and then goes back to Strange. Strange Web sees one of the ones like it's nice, it's respectful to Val, but to the Sorcerer Supreme like, "Oh really?" And then they use like change for their magic to fight the creature. Eventually, the creature then knocks out Wong. It grabs and tentacles. It grabs Doctor Strange, about to kill him. Tries to kill Megan Chavez, but she uses her powers too a little bit to punch, like a wall or something to help Strange. But Strange is able to use his magic to, get this searchlight using like big giant magic hands. Yeah. And then, hits the creature. This creature, of course, has an eye. Octopus has a big eye. And he hits it in the eye, cuts the eye. You see a little bit of blood. I'm like, whoa, damn. And then Strange tries to talk to this girl. And he's like, who are you? And he's like, oh, she tries to run. I was like, kid, I just saved you. Why are you trying to run away? And then Chavez just sneaks and runs away. But Wong is able to use, she took his slingy, but Wong is able to use it. And then they go talk at a pizza shop, pizza place or whatever. Talk about Multiverse. He meant talks about Spider Man. She's like, Spider Man? He's like, Spider? No, he's a man. You know. Of course, he forgot that Spider Man's Peter Parker, if you remember that, but he does remember the incident of helping Peter with the multiverses. Then America says a stupid joke saying he to see a webs come out of his butt. I'm like, really? Really, Michael Walden, you had to write that stupid joke in? Seriously? And she says, well, I don't trust you because you tried to kill me. Well, I don't even know you, kid. I did rescue, save your life. You owe me that. And Strange doesn't believe about her being from another universe. He's like, well, prove it. Then he shows Wong and Strange the dead body of the other Strange from that universe that saved her at the beginning of the film. They said, okay, I believe. What about this fella? So he up in the sanctum, he was like a coffin for him, puts him in his body in a coffin, and they tell about who, Wong was like, it's okay, Chow. What's your name? I was like, American Chavez. Well, Miss Chavez, would you please come to the comic, Semicon for with us? Her Strange discovers rumors of the witchcraft from this creature. On the tentacle creature has witchcraft on it. And while he takes Chavez to the sanctum to be safe, he says, well, wait a minute. I know somebody does. And of course goes to Wanda. and she's having a dream of meeting her kids. But this isn't a dream. This is another universe. You see, that she's happy with the kids, and then the one that in this world wakes up, just picking flowers or whatever. Strange comes to visit her, saying, "How you doing?" He's like, I'm not here talking about what happened in Westview or whatever the place is called from WandaVision. That's what this film takes place events after too, a little bit after WandaVision. I haven't seen the show, but I'm guessing she did make up a family, including with Vision, who, of course, I knew it had to be a fake reality because number one, Vision died. Spoiler, she had to, take that stone out, and then with the reality stone, Thanos brought Vision back and then killed him to get the stone out of his head. So yeah, but Wanda's been very sad lately. See, they talk about the kid, not the kids. Ugh, fuck. She's like, "Why'd you bring to save her?" It's like, come to Sanctum, be an Avenger. I need an Avenger for this. He's like, there are other Avengers. Well, then there's, Ant Man. Bugs. Talks about Ant Man and Spider Man, and he mentions another Marvel characters like, "Well, I need your help," and she mentions that, "Well, why does America need to be here for?" And Strange just stops for a minute, like, "Wait a minute," kind of look. He's like, he didn't need to say it, but Strange, she knows that Strange knew what he was probably gonna say. He's like, I didn't, and she says, "Wait a minute, you didn't, I didn't say, you didn't tell me her name, did you?" He was like, "No, Wanda, how'd you know her name? How'd you know?" I was like, and Wanda reveals that it's on a fake illusion. You see her in her, this is her real costume that she's been wearing the whole time, and she says that she wants to kidnap Chavez. Hmm. It's a magic form, basically. It's a magic illusion, basically, created by her with the Darkhold in her possession. This Darkhold is like, it's a book of witchcraft of evil, and when you get the hold of it, and she gets the desire to, when she finds out about it, she says she wants to be with the kids. I'm like, well, you question what I do, and one says, I would get, so her sacrifice is for the greater good, the greater good. That's how our enemies justify it. So you can forget, he says, being her name on a lunchbox, because that's what our enemies think, and it's wrong. And you know it. You're going to kill a lot of people doing this. So I'm willing to risk it. You killed him half the birth because you gave Thanos the time stone. But Strange had no choice. He did it for a good reason, though. Even though a lot of characters question it, he did. He had his good reason. He had a reason for it. You know, she gives no terms like in a couple. Of, she's like, "I'm going to show up to the sanctum." That she's the one that sent these demons. That her kids are Billy and Tommy, who she wants to reunite with. She says, "Sundown, give me America Chavez now, and if we don't," she's like, "Well, then you're going to be expecting a fight from the Scarlet Witch." Strange Director demands. Speak. There's demands. He rejects it. She's, Strange tells her about it. And American Chavez was like, well, why'd you have to tell her that? I was like, Chavez, he didn't know. She was a friend. She was a fellow Avenger. So, yeah, he trusted her. And he didn't know. Strange might know about a lot of magic, but he can't read minds. Or know what's going on in your heart. And I can understand Wanda's reasoning. She lost a lot. I mean, think about it. She lost her brother. Her brother was killed. Uh, yeah. She accidentally, well, no, that has nothing to do with it, but she's been accused of being a criminal before, being a threat. The acting Captain America Civil War, she blew some people up by accident, though. And she's been locked up in a prison for a long time. And, had Ultron, who was a psychopath, robot who was trying to convince her to help kill millions of people. So she's done some certain things, lost her brother, she lost Vision, the man she loved, and she lost her children. So she lost that family life. So she's lost a lot. So you can tell why she's desperate to have this happiness because she's just so heartbroken, and eventually she lets that dark hole get a hold of her mind and in her heart. She goes to decide to do a bad thing to do it. Doesn't care. You know, but she tries to go to the Comitage, the Sanctum, and then all the other wizards mystical arts. They have to, they build a shield. Well, Doctor Strange starts talking to her about, you don't have to do this, but she doesn't listen. They create a shield. Eventually, she's able to get into scary things. She's able to get into one of the minds of the sorcerers. She's like, run, and he runs away, and she's able to press that bear. She nearly kills all of them. Some of them they live, but Scarlet Witch is, you know, this isn't Wanda. This is basically the Scarlet Witch killing everyone last of one of them. Strange like has her in these magic mirrors, like kind of captured in there, but she's able to find like a portal through those mirrors. Grabs grabs one of the sorcerers as well, two of them, and it's like a horror movie because it's like, yo, door, which one she in? And then like the scene with the water where you see her eye looking at shit. Jim's like, ah, you know, she comes to attack. She hits Doctor Strange, fights Wong, and Travis freaks out and opens up another portal. Strange grabs her, tries to attack Strange, but it doesn't work. They fall to another universe. Then you have the scene where they're falling through multiple universe. Really good CGI effects too. You get like they're in an anime cartoon. They're in a world of paint. An anime cartoon, like I said, or where his face you see Millie in the show, like it's rock kind of look face. Yeah, they land in Earth 838. It's a future New York. Uh, this future New York apparently Strange is considered here. There's a statue of him. Well, this future you can go and pass to your memories. He has a memory of Christine giving him the watch. He's like, not important. He says, and Cherry says, "Are you happy?" And Strange doesn't want to talk about it. And this another trip with America. She sees her two moms. Yes, two lesbians. I'm like, Eternals we had guys kissing. Now we got two women that are together, but they don't kiss or anything. It's just a short scene. I'm like, really? You had to write that in. But they go off and they see Bruce Campbell gets a cameo. Bruce Campbell got a cameo in the Darkman, Spider-Man movies, and in this movie, playing a hot dogs. They have like pizza rolls or whatever you can eat, like. And Travis doesn't pay for it. So I guess in this universe you do have to pay for it. He's like, yes. And the guy tries to bug them, tries to mustard, clash mustard, squeeze mustard, and Strange gets, Bruce Campbell, beat himself up, which was funny. I've seen Bruce Campbell in other movies too, like From Dusk Till Dawn 2. Of course, the Evil Dead films as well. You know, I think she said him and Raimi have been friends for a long time since, I guess, the 80s. But going to the same thing, they see Mordo, who this Mordo considers his brother. They talk to him about other universes and stuff, of what's been going on. They're trying to get, the Darkhold book. They talk about that. But Mordo does not trust him as their Strange was evil. Well, not evil, but try to help Thanos out or whatever. He died defeating Thanos. But he's like, what'd you put in the drinks? And him and Chavez pass out. And then you have Wanda who is opening the book of the Darkhold. Talking to her children, she possesses the mind of the other her in this other world, trying to see her children. They sing like an ice cream song for her. But one of the one of the sorcerers, that's a lady she's alive. She tries to grab the Darkhold book. She gets killed. She dies from touching it. And Scarlet Witch Wanda makes a Wong tells her where the book is, and he does let her know about it. It's on this mountain, and so they go there. Meanwhile, Strange wakes up in this prison, meeting an alternate version, this Earth version of Christina Palmer, who didn't like the Steven either. Whose relationship didn't work out either. Yeah, but he meets these other characters that are the Illuminati, including Mortar, that is Professor X. That is Professor X. The version is Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel, Black Bolt, Captain Peggy Carter, Captain Carter, Captain Rambo, and Mr. Fantastic and Charles Xavier. He's like, you don't want Black by opening his mouth. Why does his breath stink? Thought that was funny. There's some moments that do make me laugh with the humor. That was funny when he said that, when he get be wisecracking. But Strange goes before them, before the Illuminate, and they say, we can't trust you. because we think he might be like that Stephen. Yeah, Strange. Apparently, their counterpart looked for ways to defeat Dark. I mean Thanos by looking at the Dark World book. They killed Thanos on Titans, but Strange, convinced that he caused an inclusion, volunteered to be executive as he to prevent further destruction because he had done some bad things himself. So Black Bolt opens his mouth and kills this Strange. He's like, I'm not like that Strange. He's like, you need to get me out here. We need to get America Chavez. Me and America gotta get out here. And so Scarlet Witch is gonna come. She's gonna attack, but Scarlet Witch, going to this temple. This temple is like a throne for her. She's able to use the power again to control the other version of her. And it looks like creepy like this mask off that she takes off when Wanda takes over. This Wanda, like blood on her head. Well, I say she's fighting Ultron's the Sentinels. You know, a dream of what they call it. Yeah, but she does. Oh, she did kill that one by burning her alive. It's this castle in Mount Wundagore. Yeah, Maxima does face the eliminate. Mr. Fantastic's trying. Reed Richards is trying to reason with her and saying, "I have kids too." He's like, "Well, you're alive." He tries to use his stress frozen but she destroys him. Black Bolt can't open his mouth because she closes it, and her and Captain Pay Carter fight, and Captain Marvel fight for a little bit, but she's able to get stab her, kill her with the shield, and then Captain Marvel gets killed as well by she crushes a building, a statue on her, killing her, and she lastly comes Professor X, who's able to enter her mind because professors can do that, and she's this other the good Wanda Maximoff, we know that's the hero, is in there like in a cave, almost like in a shelter, and she's like, "Help me!" And if you pause enough, it's like a big, it's like when Maxwell grabs train, Patrick Stewart, she kills him. Like, really, you brought Professor X back. I think you could have done more with these characters. I was glad they killed off Carter though, but I wish they would have kept Captain Marvel, Black Bolt alive, and Mister Fantastic. I wish these characters were done more, but no, they get killed off like that. Mm. Within 10 minutes of the movie, they killed. Boulder still lives, and Strange they would piss him off by saying, "You want to be the Sorcerer Supreme," and all that, and him and Strange fight a bit. Strange leaves him. He's like, "You see, I can see why my lord doesn't like you. I can see why he's beginning to not like you." And I thought that was funny when he said that to him. But Strange doesn't argue with him. He just runs off to go find Mary Chavez. And thankfully, due to Patrick Stewart, Professor X distracting one of Scarlet long enough, they're able to run out of there. She gets out of the cage, or she's in. I forgot to mention though when they were first, in these in these lockups, being locked up. She says, this universe sucks. I thought that was funny, but anyway, Rich McAdams, Christine Palmer gets her out of there. They run into to Doctor Strange. Yeah, they've assumed the gap. They're trying to use these holes or doors to cover them, but she's destroying the doors. And so we get through it like in a creepy way. But they open the door. You see in the trailer where Steven opens the door, the hatch that leads to the plane filled, the plane of universes they go to find the book of Vetnest. But Wanda destroys it. She uses Strange and Palmer to send them into another universe. While she takes Chavez, and eventually she gets, one to take her to her version. She gives one to back her body, and one the good one to Max off is like, "I'm back," and she runs back to her children, goes home. She does return home to Westview. Then, Wanda begins this ritual to take control of her powers. But elsewhere, Strange and Palmer land in this universe that is being destroyed and heads toward a New York sanctum. Then they find the sinister counterpart Strange, the one who has the eye with them. He's like, "Who are you? How do we know we're the same?" And she tells him about Strange tells him about his sister that he loved and that he couldn't save her because she died drowning in water, ice water or whatever. Because the ice broke, she died. He couldn't save her, and he's like, "That was mean. Those nightmares." Even they try to. If I should, it's like with music though. That was the special effects that were pretty good. But Strange is able to grab the book and grabs a lot of music using his powers. Is able to take on this evil Doctor Strange and the Sinister Strange defeats him and grabs the Darkhold. He also wants to get to like, well, I think you should give me Christine. Like, no, that won't happen. But Strange just killed the counterpart, and he lands on a pole. Gets cut. Palmer walks up to his body and sees that. You know, and then Steve realizes he's got to that other Strange in his universe. He he possesses his body. And Strange goes to the land, goes to the mountain. I forgot, Wong tries to talk to Wanda. I forgot to mention he tries to talk to Scarlet Witch. He was to stop doing this, but she attacks him. He doesn't die, he's just off the ledge, but he able to use his magic to get back up to the roof nearly. Start climbing. Then these spirits like, Stephen Strange, you're taking over our body. They try to attack him. It becomes like a real horror movie, but still, but, you know, but Palmer, talks to him, gives him the strength enough. And this cool moment where they try to attack her as well, because they come out of his body, try to attack her as well. And she uses like a lamp and a candle, like to blow a fire at them. She's like, go back to hell. I thought that was a badass line. I like that they gave Rachel McAdams more to do in this sequel because in the first movie she's barely hardly does anything, but that was badass with her using the fire to fight those, spirits of the damned. That was pretty cool when she said, "Go back to hell." I thought that was a badass moment for her. So he binds them and he uses them like for really different effects too. I think gets CGI, but they get defeated. Well, these creatures, the spirits of them that try to attack Wanda, they nearly do, but Wanda defeats them very easily. She's like, I'm gonna, it's like, use your strength. It's like, okay. Strength says, just use your strength. You can fight. You take her on. And she does. And Chavez is pretty good. She gives her a punch. Chavez like, yeah, uh-huh. I know you're gonna call me weird for this. Wanda, Scarlet Witch, Wanda just, mm, and punches her back. I thought when her doing that was pretty sexy though, with that, with that face. I thought it was sexy to me. I love it when a woman makes a sexy face. But anyway, she fights her enough. She's like, I'm gonna give you what you want. She's like, almost throw her like in a universe where it's a bunch of fire, kind of like hell. But she's like, I'm gonna give you what you want. And then Wanda sees her children in this universe. They see her, they get scared, like, Mom, monsters! Like, no monster. She moves the couch with the powers, attacks the other WandaVision. Wanda nearly kills her almost. And then the children start throwing toys at her. She's like, stop it. She's like, no, no, we never hurt you. And Wanda realizing that what she's doing here is wrong and that these aren't, she realizes finally that this is not a kid, and this breaks her heart. But she realizes that she's wrong for this, and even apologizes to Chavis for what she did, and you know, when her counterpart, like touches her in the face, just says like, it's okay, I'm sorry. Breaks out over the dark was corruption, realizing the destruction she had caused, then going back to being the one that myself, she sacrifices her, you know, she tells Strange, I'm sorry for what I did, and I'm gonna destroy the Darkhold. And she takes it up to the sky and destroys everything in that building. And she does become a hero at the end. It's one of the few superhero films where a villain redeems himself, but she does redeem herself, which I liked. And he is, he goes back to Christine Palmer, going back to life and tells her, I'm sorry. They do this, like, I love every version of you, and she smiles, and they usually say goodbyes, and Chavez, all along they open the sanctum of their universe, and Strange goes back, and they're gonna start training her to become part, to become a student in the mystic arts. One of the, training her as a student. And she says, Stephen, thank you for rescuing me. I'm just glad, I'm glad I landed in the universe. Appreciate what you've done for me. He's like, you're welcome. And Stephen, deciding to relax and try to be happy with life. Just goes out in the town, just go to relax. You know, Comatage begins to rebuild as Sheva starts training in the mystic arts. I guess you can say Clinton that watch out. He kind of fixes it, puts it up. I guess you can say he's moving on with his life. And then, as he's walking, he's happy. He starts strange, and then the third eye comes out of his head. Then he encounters Clea, a sorceress who warns him that he caused an incursion, that they must have to stop it. He's like, okay, well, this is the post-credit scene. Charlie, played by Charlie Theron, who I don't like in action, but at least she's here for those, like, 5 minutes here. But they go to fix it. He's like, okay. And Strange, of course, has his, as you can see here, we probably see on top, his third eye, which I thought really cool. And then it says at the end that Doctor Strange will return, and then you get the end credits and the post credits and end credits. That's the only one post credits in the movie. And then they started Strange the Multiverse of Madness. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Let me get my final opinion on this, folks, real quick, and then I will be done with this review. Okay. Oh, it's 2:42. I thought it was 5:42. Yeah. I'm gonna get my final opinion on. We're almost done here. Let's get my final thoughts and opinion on this movie. What I love about it, and I do have my issues with it, and I will get to that soon. All right. So this sequel, got to change the Multiverse of Madness. This was a good sequel. This is definitely one of my favorite Marvel films. Uh, 2 hours 6 minutes. It didn't feel that long to me. It felt like it went by at a pretty good pace. I like the story. I like seeing Wanda become the villainess. I got a reasoning that you know Wanda had lost so much, and just getting the hold of this dark hole was tempting, and she fell for the temptation. But at the end, she became a hero. I like that. Strange has to go into go into the multiverses, which was cool. I wish they would explore more of it, but still, it was a very entertaining sequel to watch. The humor doesn't always land, but the humor is good. Sam Raimi did a good job directing. I like the horror elements. This film does feel scary at times. It feels like it's like the first MCU's ever horror movie. And you could do that with a. If Derrickson came back, that'd be cool if he, maybe wrote the script or produced it, or him and Sam Raimi both worked on it and made it a straight up horror movie. I hope if they make a Doctor Strange 3, which I believe they will someday, please go to make it a horror movie. Yeah. Not every comic book film needs to be for kids. You can make it scary sometimes too, but done the right way. And this I thought was done the right way. I thought the story was good. I thought Sam Raimi did a great job directing. I think it's better than Spider-Man 3. I think he redeemed himself here, that he could still make a good movie because Marvel gave him creative control. Yeah, he had a bit of a rush to make, but Raimi did good. I didn't mind this film getting some reshoots. Yeah, I love seeing the Turner versions of some of the characters, like I like seeing Patrick Stewart in here. That was cool. Yeah, and multiverses, you can explore much more of it. And they probably will with the third movie. They're planning to maybe explore more in the third film. Benedict Cumberbatch, again, does a great job as Doctor Strange. He's fantastic in the role. The film has a very good story. It's very entertaining. The action is real good. The writing, the script, yes, some jokes didn't land for me. Cinematography is real nice. This film does look nice, cinematography. And the visual effects, special effects, were really amazing too. I thought that, yeah, just like the first movie, with the Doctor Strange movie, you're always gonna get good special effects, good visual effects, and this film has that too. The editing is really good. The action scenes are well shot. I thought, you know, they are. And music by Danny Elfman, is it his best work? No, but it is good. There's moments there where it does sound creepy, and Danny Elfman can give you kind of creepy themes. It works because he can really do music well, giving you creepy themes. Yeah. So the music worked in the movie. The running time, 126 minutes. That wasn't too bad. Just including the one post credit scene and the end credits. That's what counts for 2 hours 6 minutes. But still, with that time, you know, there are scenes of where horror elements of the film where it does feel like a horror movie, you know, and I thought it went by a good pace. It was very entertaining. It's a good movie. Now to my problems. First of all, I didn't really care for the character of Megan Chavez. Her joke in the first movie saying, I just, it was cliche. Like I've seen this before. Like I'm sure I've seen other movies where the guy has to protect the little girl, the teenage girl that has to be protected. I've probably seen it before. So she's a very cliche character. I didn't really like her to the end, and I thought she was annoying most times. But as the movie went on, she kind of grew on me a bit. I did like her little, this universe sucks joke. I thought that was funny, but I didn't care that she had two moms. I'm like, you had to go work there, woke there, Disney. I'm like, really? Two lesbian characters? I'm like, but at least they didn't kiss. I mean, I'm not too mad about it. But I'm like, really? And I don't like Agent Carter, the show. I don't like Haley Atwell. I'm glad they killed her off. But I wish they would have gave, and my biggest issue, Patrick Stewart. You killed him off. I'm like, he died in X Men Last Stand. Logan. Yeah, so he's died what 2 times, and you bring him back just to kill him off again. They should have used him more. They could have done a lot more with these characters. John Cusack, I can't say his name right, Mr. Fantastic. He was really good. I wish he would have given him more to do, a lot more to do. You know, our Black Bolt was a cool character, and Captain Marvel. I like Captain Marvel as well. And Mordo, you could have done much more with these characters. I would like to see maybe this version of Mordo be a hero. Could have given him a lot more to do. You know, but in the third movie, since Strange is back in his reality, maybe we will see Mordo again. Maybe trying to kill him and take over as the Sorcerer Supreme, and they have to fight him or whatever. That'd be cool to add in. But yeah, American Chavez, the whole joke with Spider-Man joke I didn't like. She was just a very cliche character. I didn't care for her as a character. I did like her at the end though when she puts up a good fight with Wanda Maximoff with Scarlet Witch, and I like Scarlet Witch as a villain in this movie. Elizabeth Olsen did a great job. I can sympathize with the character. I can understand what she was doing, but it would cost many people's innocent lives. It would have been she would have killed a lot of people with this Darkhold book. Yeah, the film does have. I don't like witchcraft, but this film does add that in there. But still, I think with having a good heart, like Wanda does, a good heart and a good sense of love in your heart, you can overcome witchcraft, and she does. At the end of the film, overcome that and destroys it, which I was happy. And the Darkhold was destroyed. And yeah, the visual effects are very beautiful to look at. It's a very entertaining sequel, despite the problems I have with it. I like that pig Captain Carter. I'm like, no, I can do this all day. I'm like, I just wanted to just slap her for saying that. I'm like, no, bitch, it's Captain America, and his name is Chris Evans. You ain't him. You can't do nothing all day. You're annoying all day. I was glad that she got stabbed with that. I'm like, good. And Haley Atwell behind the scenes was mad because I'm like, whatever, Haley Atwell, you suck anyway. Agent Carter, yeah, I've seen some of that show. That show sucks. I think it's awful. I don't like her. She's a British chick I don't like. British actress I don't like. She's not a chick. I don't even find her attractive. Glad they killed her off. There's no, yeah. I'm glad they killed her off. They shouldn't have had her there in the first place. You know, you didn't need another version of Captain America. There's only one Captain America, and that's Steve Rogers, Captain America. That's Chris Evans. Or hell, Anthony Mackie could have been it. I'd rather just have Anthony Mackie. I know he's Captain America and Brave New World, but that'd be cool. Maybe someone add him in here. I'd rather have that. Or the guy in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show, which I still haven't seen. I'd rather get that. I give that more of a chance than Haley Atwell. You need a woke version of Captain America. Yeah, I call it the woke version of Captain America. Captain America's a man in the comics. I don't care if it's a female version of Captain America. To me, he's a man. His name is Steve Rogers, not freaking Peggy Carter. Yeah, that was stupid. And it was stupid that they killed Patrick Stewart. But yeah, I'm like, really? You killed him for a third time. You could have used him more. And Mr. Fantastic, Black Bolt, Mordo. You could have in Captain Marvel. It wasn't Brie Larson, but hey, I was fine. I do like that actress. Not, I don't like her in No Time to Die. But I liked her in here in the first Captain Marvel movie. They could have done more with these characters. Much, much more. Which I thought would have been cool. Maybe helped out the Strange. Explore the and I wish this film would explore more of the multiverse, but again, if they would have taken out the American Chavez character, I get it. They're trying to have a story. Strange is not happy here. He's got to try to find his happiness, and he does. He moves on from Palmer, but he still does love her though. He just had to move on. Just sometimes I guess relationships are not meant to be. But anyway, I get the point of the story of that. But anyway, this is an entertaining sequel. Very fun to watch. Good story. Very good film. I love Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. It's Marvel doing something different. They're not trying to be another Avengers movie. They're not trying to, pander to an audience like Shang-Chi was, or trying to be another Avengers movie. It's trying to do something different, and it did different with adding horror into that. And that's what I like. Marvel needs to do more of that, just to add something different in it. Don't try to be like another MCU movie. That just doesn't work. You be your own thing, do your own thing, and I'll enjoy it for that. Do your own thing. And this movie does that. So Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, my rating for this film, I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. And my rating for this film is 4 to 5 stars. So guys, if you've seen Doctor Strange the Multiverse of Madness, what do you think of it in your opinion? Do you like the first? I would say the first movie's better in my opinion. Do you like the second movie more or the first one? Which one do you like? And what do you think of Benedict Cumberbatch as the character? And what do you think of the character Doctor Strange yourself? How would you rank the MCU movies in your opinion? What are some of your favorite MCU movies? And what are some of your least favorites? Or no, scam lightly, get off. But anyway, they always try to call me for some reason. But anyway, my rating for this movie is 4 to 5 stars and a thumbs up for Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. Let me know, guys, what you think about the comments down below. Alright, guys. Maybe tomorrow, the next superhero review. This is the 29th MCU film, starring Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, Christian Bale. And boy, I didn't like this movie. But maybe my opinion will change. I remember not really caring for this film. But that next review will be another MCU movie, the 29th film in the MCU, I believe, 29th. That will be Thor Love and Thunder. Or Love and Thunder. Love and Thunder. Yeah, Thor Love and Thunder. Yes, this will be next. This came out in June, I believe, so Thor Love and Thunder will be next. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. Hopefully I get to do it. But guys, Thor Love and Thunder, the fourth Thor movie. Oh boy. I say this is the Superman for the quest for peace for these Thor movies. Some people say Batman and Robin, but I rather say it's more like I really watch Batman and Robin over this. But you'll get to that. So this might be a rant coming up next, another MCU rant too. So yeah. But Thor Love and Thunder, oh boy. This will be next. So stay tuned for my review of Thor Love and Thunder. And I hope you enjoyed my review of Strange Marvel Madness. Again, my rank for the film is 4 to 5 stars. Thumbs up. Tell me what you think about the comments down below. And stay tuned for the next review for the 29th MCU film. That will be Thor Love and Thunder coming up next. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. See you later. Bye bye.